it's not hard to point this out. This is default. This is default. That the minute there was a major outbreak, you shut down the aircraft coming in, or you make people sign a form that they will go on aircraft that everybody is then quarantined for at least a month once they get off of it. Instead, we knew the fix was in, so they would have plausible deniability a month ago when they started flying all these medical workers in with Ebola and putting them in regular hospitals that aren't even level 2, level 3 containment. Ladies and gentlemen, that violates federal law. This is a disaster. They want to use this to roll out more Homeland Security. Do I think this is the end of the world? No. I predicted they're going to have phases. Listeners, you've heard this hundreds of times. Phases of bio releases, souped up bio weapon releases to train us to go under medical tyranny, to train us to go under forced inoculation. So when they really release the deadly airborne Ebola or mousepox down the road to wipe out 90% of the population, a la 12 monkeys, the people will do what they're told, believing that they were protected by the government in the first few big outbreaks. This is directly out of the globalist script, ladies and gentlemen, directly out of V for Vendetta. This is how you conquer America and conquer the world. This is how you get the guns. This is how you bring in the tyranny, is you bring in terrorists. Notice how Texas is under attack. Everyone's fleeing the rest of the country to come to Texas because we have lower taxes and are libertarian conservative. The border is wide open, and they've targeted bringing in the buses. Texas. They've targeted Texas with all their different programs. Now Texas is where the Ebola is popping up. You can just see all of this going on, ladies and gentlemen, and now Paul Watson comes to visit the U.S. the first time he's visited me here in 9 years or 8 years, and now you're here in Texas, Paul Watson, 200 miles from Ebola, which they're very calmly saying, oh, yeah, some more of the family probably has it. It's no big deal. It's like getting a cold or something. No, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say this very slowly. The so-called U.S. government, the same ones that funded Al-Qaeda and ISIS, have now allowed dozens and dozens of people in with Ebola and did no screening at the airports for people coming in out of West Africa, with scientists saying 1.4 million with computer models are set to get it on the low end, 5 million now on the high end. That's by December. We're not talking about when they usually panic when 20 people have Ebola. I mean, the previous top outbreaks were a couple hundred. We're talking about countries collapsing right now as people are hanging basically off the aircraft to fly here, and our government's going, come on in. So the bottom line is the government, whatever's behind this, cannot and will not protect you. You've got to protect yourselves. And it is so disgusting, like a slow-motion automobile accident, to be seeing this unfold right now. Folks better be hitting their knees and praying to God, because if this Ebola gets out, and if it spreads with our compromised immune systems here in the United States, and all the vaccines that people have been taking, and if it starts mutating with other things that are going on right now, and all the other mystery illnesses sweeping the country of kids that have been vaccinated, you can see with Dr. Pianka, a top eugenicist, saying 8 years ago that soon the airborne Ebola is coming and will kill 90%, and 95% standing ovation at the Texas Academy of Sciences, with people crying with joy as he projected a huge screen of red skulls on the wall. This is mainstream news, folks. Look it up. The FBI went and talked to him about it, and they began crying in their death cult of victory. This is a death cult. They're listening in Austin right now at University of Texas. They are the most sick people you could ever imagine, and I've been warning you. My film Endgame warns you that they are all over Ebola. The globalists have been messing with it, screwing around with it constantly. This is one of their main arsenal weapons. So is mousepox. Kills 90+% of people. And again, I don't think this is the big one. But it could be. I believe it's just a primer. Paul Watson, what do you think?
Well, what I've noticed, Alex, is this kind of simpering and patronising tone from the media this morning, just watching it on the television. You know, telling people not to panic, telling people that this hysteria, this outbreak is going to be limited, when they're the ones who attacked us for warning about it, 1-2 months ago. CBS News put out a big hit piece against us. They dropped the ball. I mean, this patient was walking around in Dallas for 4 days. They didn't even ask him his travel history, where he came from.
Default positions. They didn't do status quo. They turned the defaults off, just like NORAD was ordered to stand down on 9/11.
We'll be back after the break with more from Alex Jones. Joe Biggs coming up as well, live from the scene. We got Rick Perry's press conference coming up at noon. This is Infowars.com, breaking Ebola coverage. Stay tuned.
Recent events have shown just how vulnerable we are to deadly viruses, bacteria, and fungus. These diseases are all caused by infectious pathogens that often get the upper hand on conventional medical treatments. Now more than ever, there's a great need for a product that will help protect us. Look no further. Supernatural Silver can provide immune system support to help fight off these deadly pathogens. Supernatural Silver is a new and vastly improved type of silver solution that's safe and extremely effective against 143 types of bacteria, both forms of viruses, mold, and yeast. Supernatural Silver can be taken orally or used topically and can be used in a nebulizer or vaporizer for inhalation. With over 180 scientific studies by independent universities, hospitals, and research institutions, Supernatural Silver is a powerful weapon against disease. Go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code SILVER2014 for 20% off your entire order. Give you and your loved ones a fighting chance with Supernatural Silver.
Americans, prepare for financial ruin. That is what one of the world's richest men, Donald Trump, said just a few weeks ago. What are you doing to prepare? The problems that caused the last financial crisis were never fixed. In fact, they're even worse now. The total amount of debt in the U.S. has grown by more than 57% since September 2008. The too big to fail banks are much larger, and the massive derivatives bubble is spiraling so far out of control that the only thing left to do is watch the spectacular crash landing that is inevitably coming. If you're a baby boomer with retirement funds, it's time you consider exiting the Wall Street casino and start a cash-flowing international business of your own. There may be ways to preserve your wealth, but history has shown that few things can grow your wealth like having your own business. The crash is coming. Take measures now to soften the landing. Go to babyboomerbackupPlan.com or call 888-507-8789. That's babyboomerbackupPlan.com.
DNA Force.
When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in.
DNA Force.
No one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. Just one of the key compounds, BioPQQ, is backed by major clinical studies.
DNA Force.
We now have the synergistic solution. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
DNA Force.
After consulting top doctors, nutritionists, pharmacists, and others, we have developed what I believe is the ultimate non-GMO, organic Super Male Vitality formula. Super Male Vitality by InfoWars Life is so powerful that I only take half the recommended dose.
I jump out of bed ready to fight these criminals every day. I look forward to waking up and taking my Super Male Vitality.
Visit InfoWarsLife.com today to secure your Super Male Vitality and other powerful products from InfoWars Life.
We all have our own idea about what being safe and secure means. The door's locked, bills are paid, you've got a job that keeps the lights on, and a home to call your own. But what happens when Mother Nature throws a curveball?
I'm telling you, take cover.
Are you prepared to live without electricity or passable roads for weeks at a time? Do you even have a plan B? If you do, are you willing to bet your life on it?
Children left with no homes.
And no one's coming to help them.
The first step towards self-reliance in the face of disaster is a visit to MyPatriotSupply.com. There you'll find the absolute best prices on storable foods, non-GMO seeds, emergency water filtration devices, and so much more. All orders over $49 qualify for free shipping in the lower 48 states. Call 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927 and speak to one of our preparedness advisors today, or visit us at MyPatriotSupply.com. Remember, before it's time to survive, it's time to prepare.
On the Alex Jones Show this Wednesday, October 1st edition with me, Paul Joseph Watson, talking to Alex Jones. Reuters just reported experts question 2-day delay in admitting Texas Ebola patient. So as I said before the break, This guy was basically walking around Dallas for 4 days. He got antibiotics 2 days before they isolated him, so he went in to get treatment. They asked no questions whatsoever of his travel history, which numerous health professionals are questioning this morning. We also have an article out of Infowars.com, actually. UN says Ebola outbreak worse than HIV SARS. This is David Nabarro, who heads up the United Nations Ebola response, told the Sydney Morning Herald that Ebola is the scariest disease he has ever encountered during his career. I can remember in Africa early on in HIV thinking this is unspeakably awful situation, but it will not decimate the population. So he's now saying that this could be worse than HIV for Africa, which has obviously killed millions and millions of people. We had the top German virologist a couple of weeks ago saying that Ebola basically could burn itself out in West Africa, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and not stop until it's claimed basically all of the population. Alex Jones, more comments on this breaking Ebola news. I mean, the question that I've got, Alex, is that British Airways stopped all the flights from West Africa going into Britain, and yet the United States basically did nothing.
Well, look, it's because the globalists are clearly behind this, or it's like a wildfire's coming and they order the firefighters to stand down because they want to destroy a neighborhood, build condos on it. Either way, the government is behind this. Either way, the defaults, and any emergency manager listening, any hazmat person listening, any CDC person listening, any health department person listening, any medical doctor listening, any nurse listening, anyone who's informed, and I want to get some articles out about this, just showing the previous defaults. You do what France did, you do what England did, you do what others do, you do what Saudi Arabia did a month and a half ago. When they had an Ebola patient show up, you shut the flights down, or you warn people there's going to be a major fee associated with this. You're going to have to pay for it. We're going to put you in quarantine for a month. This is the default. And then meanwhile, while this Ebola outbreak's going on, the border's wide open, and Geraldo Rivera comes out and attacks Matt Drudge and says, how dare you say Ebola could come into the U.S.? Well, guess what, Geraldo? And again, Geraldo says he's a listener. I've been on his show many times. He's been on ours. I don't want to attack him, but he's full of bull. We were not being racist against Hispanics because we pointed out it's insane to have wide open borders. We were pointing it out because it shows how the government just is literally out of control. And this is why this is happening. Until about 20 years ago, if government screwed up, people got fired. And that's been the way it's always been. Okay? If a Roman general lost a battle, he got fired or executed. Okay? If a captain did something wrong, they got in trouble. If a centurion got in trouble. This is thousands of years old. When they screw up in Katrina and order a stand down, FEMA gets double the funding and gets to take the guns. On 9/11, when NORAD stands down and the NSA spy on everybody, they get 5 times the fundings, or even more since then, for different federal departments and the police state bureaucracy. So no one gets in trouble. So they'll get a bunch of power and control, and the military-industrial complex medical center and Obamacare will come in with the federal emergency and declare their big victory and use this crisis under Cloward and Piven to further bankrupt the nation. They've been shutting down our power plants, shutting down our industry, putting the highest tax rates in to drive people overseas. This is another attempt, like Godzilla attacking Tokyo, to destroy America while sucking us dry. It is a premeditated plan to bring down the country. The globalists are following Agenda 21. Cloward and Piven is only one small sociological example of their plan. I mention it because people know what Cloward and Piven is. Bottom line, there is zero debate. No one can debate me. I challenge people to debate me. I challenge folks to call in the next hour when David Knight is giving analysis and co-hosting with you ahead of Gerald Celente. I challenge somebody to try to call in here and tell us how they didn't either cook it up and let it come in here, or how they didn't order a stand down to let it come in here. They did it. And I want Rick Perry to be asked by the press conference, are you going to challenge Obama to shut down the flights out of West Africa? That's what Rick Perry needs to be asked by the media. I guarantee you nobody is going to bring that up. That's a governor's job, hit with Ebola, is to say to the president, Mr. President, order flights out of West Africa shut down now, and people that have bounced in from other countries with a West African original epicenter where they came from, if they're originating out of West Africa, they need to be put on quarantine. And if you're coming to America, you're going to be quarantined, because here's the problem. Once they let it get out of hand, they're going to start quarantining everybody with Obama's executive order, claiming if you have any respiratory illness, you can be locked up forever, which they've never done before. That was 2 months ago. We said, folks, get ready. Now a respiratory thing has popped up. This thing stinks to high heaven, ladies and gentlemen. This is an emergency situation. Call the White House.
We're on the march.